Well, welcome. I'm so happy to introduce Sincerity Podcast. With 14 years of experience in talk radio, blah, 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 talk too much, you worry me to death, but not really. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to bring forth my talk radio experience, 24 years in real estate, and I'm excited to bring a sincere voice to the podcasting world. Think about that. Sincerity on the air, talking points that are truthful. Wow, that's a new standard now, right? Anyway, Sincerity Podcast is in line with the principles of my brokerage, Sincerity Realty. This platform is built on honesty and transparency, delivered with heart and sincerity and an informative sense of humor. The Sincerity Podcast is committed to providing reliable insights into business, real estate, entrepreneurship. There's a lot of manures in entrepreneurs, so you really need to listen out for that entrepreneurship advice and essential life topics. And what is essential? Breathing is essential. So anything that's essential to life, to love, to business, to real estate, to entrepreneurship, that's what Sincerity Podcast is dedicated to provide. But the reason I can do that is because I have such wonderful guests, like my guest today. Really good stand-up guy, I'm telling you. We need more stand-up men, right? Boy, the world be a better place. Anyway, so I introduce Todd Snyder. He's the president of Angel Island Enterprises. He specializes, or he actually focuses, on multi-residential and multi-family properties in sales and lending. So that's kind of say I don't want to say specialty because that makes it a little bit more thumb screwing type pressure, but he focuses on that and he's really good at it. And I would not use that word. So anyway, and again, he is the president of Angel Island Enterprises, and I'm so happy to have him on board. We have partnered up because we've combined our 46 years of experience, sage wisdom. Oh my gosh. And we both
Mm.
share a passion for our craft and especially for our clients. So, enough said. Welcome aboard, Todd Snyder. Thank you for coming on board today. We're discussing from zero to hero, part
That's
two.
it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that was a good intro. Thank you, Marianne. Good to be here again today. So yeah, zero from zero to hero to multifamily hero, let's call it.
Yeah.
So yes, basic
And
steps.
okay. Well, you can't get the name of the game is real estate, and you can't be a hero unless you buy. Because if you rent, you know, you lament. There's nothing there to show for 30 years of paying a rent. But if you invest in not just a single family properties, what they defer to homes in the lingo, SFR, single family residence. However, a lot of people are becoming more, especially I think it came out of the millennials. They really wanted more for their money, even though at the time they were buying in 2010, they got a lot more for their money because the average earner was earning 56,000, the wage earner, okay, and the homes were only 280,000. The average for California, and that's not the case. So that's the importance of buying into real estate, and they wanted more than just a single family home. They actually ended up renting out their rooms. That's how innovative they were, and they wanted value for their money. But if people are going to invest as a first time buyer, can you discuss why, what's the benefit of buying a multi-residential property, which would be, well, to duplex, triplex, and fourplex, because the single family home is the first one.
Mhm.
So why would they purchase that? And in your opinion, okay, thank you.
Well, that landscape has changed a lot recently.
Okay.
And let's add in, if we could, to this discussion, a recent development of the ADU and the policy changes locally about creating additional housing. And so, in a light comparison, an ADU could be argued that it's a multi-family arrangement where you have a single family arrangement and you have a separate ADU, or it's a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, and think of those as providing housing, additional housing, uh, where the situation is where maybe owner, like we're talking about here. So in that sense, it's as real estate goes, I think a great way to start your
Start.
investor
Yeah.
path with
And I with
multifamily res.
multifamily
Yeah.
and residential. And later on, we'll talk about multi residential instead of multifamily residential. I guess that the distinction is the families in front of the word res. So, but again, the greatest benefit to that is that you have participants applying payments to your mortgage in the form of rent. Is that not? I mean, they share the burden.
Yeah. That's the idea. In an ideal world that you're collecting rents and that in turn your units are creating a revenue stream, and that revenue can be used to supplement income to pay mortgages, pay property taxes, pay your insurance, those kinds of things, rather than coming out of pocket like you would for a single family residence, where all those are coming out of your pocket personally.
Well, I think it's really important because um, it's a lot tougher now. It was easier to invest before. So many people did not take advantage of it, unfortunately. But I was just thinking about that today. Does the principles of investing in real estate still apply even if you're getting in late in the game? Maybe you can talk to that.
When I think of the tenets of investing in real estate, um, I think of things that provide home ownership as well. And what I mean by that is, what is affordability? We talk about that a lot. What are the benefits? What are the um, grants or other financial instruments that are provided to first-time home buyers or new investors to get into the marketplace? We talk about, I think about fiscal responsibility of the county or the state governments, whereas your property tax is concerned, is that most likely will be a third of the cost of ownership while holding. Those are items. Also, you know, tenancy law. How easy or how difficult? What kind uh, of knowledge and skills does a potential first-time investor need to have in hand in order to self-manage or if they decide on that or interview for property management. So
Well,
those are
I
just some of the items.
Well, when you mentioned the area, I mean, San Francisco is really tough. I mean, it's one of
Yes.
the toughest, most hardcore protecting the tenants. And so if you're investing in property and I think maybe unless you're really skilled and you've got big attorneys behind you, you might as well go to the other surrounding counties that aren't as strict. Do you agree?
I do. And even if you have property management, you still end up with complex relationships with your tenants.
Yeah.
And for a landlord, sometimes, the proposition is very simple. You and I can sit here, Marianne, as being professionals and talk about, okay, this is a great option. This is a really great niche for the first-time investors. And then this complexity comes into where you have ongoing demands by tenants who are, you know, have the ability to be who they are or be deceptive and but rather than get into that, it can be a full-time job just managing your residents, your tenants.
Well,
No doubt about it.
human nature is you have renters who take advantage, you have landlords who take advantage, and there's the rub right there.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco does have the no fault eviction. You just can't sell your property if you have a tenant in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be for another show, but there are many areas where you can get decent rentals and you don't have to have those thumb screws.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it's good, if there has been abuse, but then it's hard. It's a hard relationship to be in that tenant landlord relationship in San Francisco. I mean, you have to, as I said, you either have to be very well versed in it, or you have to have some good attorneys behind you.
Yes. Good property management people who can
Yeah,
keep
property
you out of the
management.
courts as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Make sure they're
Um,
doing their job because otherwise, people don't talk about this because I'm by saying it, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. I'm married. I can date myself anytime I want. Hey, Mary, I want to go on a date. Yeah, sure. Where are we going? In the 80s, okay, California graduated over 200,000 attorneys. Okay. So why are we the most litigious state? Well, go back in history and Google it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yes.
All these commercials, they're not supposed to be ambulance chasers, but boy, they're chasing you down on the commercial.
Hmm.
Whether you have a problem with your lungs, a problem with your car, problem if you get hurt. So I guess I make jest of it, but it's serious, because
It is.
I'm going to be selling a condo in San Francisco that's a rental. So so fair warning, so make sure that, you have somebody, a real estate agent who knows the due diligence, but also that can refer you to an excellent attorney should you need it, because sometimes you need it. And the goal of the worst thing, the wonderful thing about investing in real estate is when it works. When you have the interest rate and you have the purchase price and you have the property and you have a rental, a good tenant in there. But when you have problems, nobody wants to spend time in court. I mean, that's just too
Yeah.
painful. So be smart, do your due diligence, have somebody whose expertise, which is Todd Snyder. His company delves into really multi-residential and multifamily units. Their company focuses on that, the purchase, and also the lending portion, and also other avenues for you to be able to invest in real estate, maybe without even the heavy lifting of being a landlord, right? You can buy
That's it. That's it.
different opportunities, fractional ownerships, but that'll be for another show. But I want to pique your interest, okay? Todd,
Yes.
multifaceted here, so it's just I get to introduce him. Thank you. Anyway, so so we've talked about the reason that you need to invest in a duplex, triplex, fourplex because you have renters that are contributing to the mortgage. And even if one vacates, you can still manage, because do you have to pre-qualify with the rental revenue as part of the loan, or can you just, if you buy a place that's vacant, how does that work? How about that? That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a couple of different options there that you can go. So when I look at financing a multi-residential property, um, we look at what's its existing rent capture. Is it currently occupied? What kind of history does it have? What do the books look like? Plainly, right? Let's take a look at it. What has it done?
If they
And then
kept
you can
any.
decide. Yes,
They kept,
exactly. Hey, that's it. Are there books?
yeah.
So, oftentimes the great thing about the multi-residential space, the up to 4 units, is that um, there are financing options that will uh, assume a rental amount, a monthly income without prior documentation, meaning we don't need a history of what it's rented for and what the annual capture might be. Instead, through the process of the appraisal, an appraiser makes that determination about what market rent might be. Now, that can cut both ways, as you might imagine. However,
Sounds like a
when
song.
it's yeah, but when we're talking about complexity of
Yeah.
the transaction, it really can cut down on the amount of paperwork. It's easy to assume that you're going to have a counterparty that's going to be forthcoming, and we both know that's not always the case. So there are loan options where that process is simplified, and what a unit might contribute in terms of a rent is determined by the appraisal process. So that is a real efficient way to go about it. Those options exist and are worth looking at as well. And
Well,
again, it depends, Marianne, it depends on what the disposition of the property is. Is it one that's fully rented? Is it stabilized, or is it vacant, or have a history of being vacant? Those kinds of things.
and I think that's the problem because, it's not just purchasing a multi residential, and then, you can't go in there. gun ho and say, I'm going to be a landlord. This is what I'm going to do, because there's so much into consideration. Uh, you buy a rental that's not in a desired area, you're not going to have tenants, or if you do, you're not going to get market value for your tenants. And there are considerations. Is there like, do you have like a step-by-step guide for that acquisition? I mean, what is it that they should really look for when they're looking for a multi-residential investment property?
Sure. And the advisory part of the conversation is most, upfront. And those questions come very quickly during the initial conversations. Um, you know, d- I've got this property in mind, Todd. What do you think about it? What kind of financing can you get? Um, and as you know, those come pretty easily. Really, you know, um, I think an investment of any multi-res, the first question I always ask myself is like, why is the current owner selling?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the first question. Why are they selling in the first place? If it's such a great acquisition, what is it? Are they at the end of are they at their exit strategy? Is something happened with the partnership? Do they have, owners fatigue, which happens a lot,
Well, I guess
especially
so.
with owner operators? But
Okay.
anyway, that's one of the first questions. Why would they sell? And then you
Okay.
can go about your due diligence.
Okay. And if you don't do your due diligence, you have due diligence. And you kind of cover what the due diligence is, because we want to keep our clients out of the due diligence part.
Sure. Well, this is really part of the transactional process. It's how deeply into inspections is the counterparty
Okay.
providing?
Yeah.
What inspections have they provided? Does that tell you anything? What can you glean from those inspections? Are you prepared to invest in inspections as a buyer for inspections that haven't been provided? And what's the risk if you do or you don't?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and
so
can I jump in
yeah,
on that? Because even if
sure.
there are, because let's face it, we're supposed to always conduct ourselves in good faith, right? And fair dealings, but that's not always the case. So even if the owner, the seller of this property has done inspections, I highly recommend that you spend the money to get your own independent inspections, and have an independent opinion, because let's face it, they do hide things at times, right? I mean, and so I think
And
that
sometimes
would be
not
prudent.
intentionally.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
sometimes intentionally. So yes, that's both sides of the coin. But
Yes.
it's about CYA, covering your assets.
No, it truly is. I mean, that's a great acronym for that.
Yeah, I know.
If
And it just came up. It just
yeah.
popped in my mind. Okay. There's the informative humor. Okay. I'm sorry. But yeah, so the inspections, and they can run, you could probably spend around 1,000 easily,
hmm
1,500, depending on the age of the property too. So
hmm
there's a lot of factors involved, but I think I'm just very happy to have Todd Snyder and his expertise with multi-residential and multifamily homes, because he can speak to that, and we can speak to your needs together. And I know that a lot of people also do 1031s with these duplex, triplex, and fourplex properties too. So once I think the distinction is, and although we're not tax people, we don't declare to be. Please go to your CPA or your tax preparer for any questions. But if you are not living in the property, then you are considered a investor and you have your tax deductions, correct? So, and again, talk to your
hmm
CPA. But if you're living in there, do you claim can you still claim it as a investment property? At least the other units?
Yeah. So the 1031 exchange, as I understand it, for like kind, right?
Yes.
A
Yeah.
like kind exchange requires that they be what we would call non-owner occupied in the multi-res
Okay.
space,
All right.
right?
Okay.
The verbiage and the requirements is a different for 5 plus. but most likely in the documents, the financing documents, the loan documents will be or will not be a condition, whereas an owner of the property cannot also occupy a
Okay.
unit.
All right.
Those are very subtle
Because that way,
distinctions, but
yeah.
both are
Okay. That,
possible.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. So there's a lot of those are then we get into the complexities of it, but for basic multi-residential purchases, 2 to 4, because a single family home is a
yes.
single residential purchase, there's an opportunity there waiting. And I think what I'd like to get into is securing off-market deals or securing
Mm,
on-market deals. I mean,
mhm.
the competition is high, but do you have any insight to that that you can talk about?
Um, yes, I think if I was to just sum that up in a general statement, Marianne, I would say, uh, start a relationship with your agent of choice because
Not
they're
an
most
affair,
likely, well, yes, they're
but
most
not an
likely
affair.
going to be the ones
Sorry.
who are going to find out about off market
Yeah. Okay.
opportunities
Yeah.
first. Um, Now, people who are investors have their after they can have their own system as well. Um, but for the first timers, for the new
Mm,
investors,
yeah.
I would suggest counsel as much advice that you can gather,
Yeah.
do so,
Yeah.
and
In other
that will
words,
direct
educate
you.
yourself, right?
Hmm.
Educate yourself on what you're getting into because
Hmm.
the one objective, well, I have many objectives, but one objective about the show is I like to provide before the fact information because I'm so sensitive. I don't like to see people living with after the fact regrets. Okay. If you buy a lemon car, they have lemon laws. If you're successful, they have a you buy a car, it's 7 years. Okay. But if you buy a home, there's no lemon laws for the home. And if you have issues, then it's only going to court. I mean, so you have a 30-year obligation or not necessarily, depending if you're buying it as an investment, because I think Todd talked about that. And he can tell you about that as well. But I think it's really important that you educate yourself because I think people who are lazy with that would probably easily blame the representative or somebody else because, well, I didn't know, you know, ignorance is not a defense. It can be before the fact, but after the fact, it cannot because once you become an investor, you have to skill yourself and you have to give yourself the knowledge so that you can sustain this property. You do have people in place like property management. And Todd, isn't that one of the benefits of your company as well? You provide property management.
Yes, in certain areas, if there's our sphere, our footprint is in the North Bay.
Okay.
So
Oh,
for
good.
properties here in the
We
North
share
Bay,
the same footprint.
we like
We're
to
the Sasquatchers.
stay close to the asset. But
Okay.
yes, yeah,
An analogy for us in the midst of all the nature conservancies, we stand as the redwood trees in our business.
yes, we
Tree
do.
hugging realtor, REALTER. Okay. Anyway, but they have well, how does underwriting differ in this multi-residential? I mean, do you have rules, percentage rules that apply? I mean, I hear there's like a 1% rule, a 50% rule, and the cap rate. I mean, cap rate is not about your knees.
Yeah, we could make a distinction between underwriting a residential multi
Okay,
and
okay,
then a commercial 5+
okay.
multifamily, right?
All right.
Two totally different underwriting methods.
Okay.
Again, simply all we're talking about is okay, financing an amount, getting a loan for an acquisition of an asset. Um, Cash options are always there, of course. If
Yeah.
you're someone who's coming out of a 1031, Marianne, and you have a material amount of cash that needs to be placed, cash options in general,
And how much time?
leveraging.
How much time you have on that
I
to
believe you have 90 days
90
to
days
complete a
to
transaction,
action?
but you
Okay.
have to identify it prior
Yeah,
to
the
that,
property ahead of
45.
time. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that means you
So,
have to find something quick. And I bet you that comes down to the wire all the time, right? With the 1031, because it's like,
it can changes, right? I mean, a lot of people are make a choice and then that choice changes at some, at the 46th day or something. So
yeah.
the 1031 exchange people are always running around.
You can't be a
Uh,
pickle because it's going to be a big deal.
but I'm going to start writing these down because
It's going to be a big deal if you don't give yourself enough. But there are also, and that'll be for another show. But there are reverse 1031s. I think
yes,
you have 180 days, but this we'll
yeah,
just kind of put that out there. But we'll be discussing that in future shows. But is
yeah.
there can you explain what the 1% and the 50% rule? The rules are as far as underwriting. I mean, did you want to delve into that?
But when I say 50% rule, the closest thing that comes to mind for me, which is not a hard and fast rule, is that y when you're determining financing, you
Mhm.
start at 50% loan to value,
Okay. All
right?
right. That's what the
Y-
50% is. Okay.
Yes, you finance
LTV.
half of the value. It's a loan to value metric, right?
Okay.
And
And that's
the one
higher than single family, isn't it?
um actually, single family multi-res, what great things of it, and the reason I'm here is because it has similar loan
To
metrics to a single family
family home.
residence,
Exactly. That's the point.
right?
Yeah. That
So
makes a great investment.
here you are buying income on a
Hmm.
multi-res with very similar requirements to buying a regular
Like
home.
like a first time buyer. Same thing.
Yes.
Except you're a
Yes.
first time buyer buying a multi-residential rather than a single residential property.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how do you what about cap rate? Like again, it's not about the caps on your knees either. But if you don't do a good cap rate, you'll be on your knees praying, why did I buy this property? So anyway,
Capitalization rates really are applied to commercial multifamily 5 plus.
okay, so
So
that
cap
doesn't
rates
apply.
are essentially what expected return you might have
Okay,
annualized.
okay,
So that would be cash on cash return based on an investment. So it is used mostly in commercial.
okay.
You can apply a cap rate to a multi-res. It's not going to tell you as much as you might think. It can still be applied. Typically isn't. But what you want to look at with a multi-res is some simple metrics that keep you in the black each month,
Okay.
right? You don't want to be a first-time investor every month. You coming up, having losing money coming out of pocket to
Mhm.
cover. So it's a much simpler equation, calculation to make. Hey, is this property going to make money for me monthly,
Mhm.
or am I going to be at risk of having to come out of pocket to
Yeah.
cover expenses? That's the real calculation that needs to be done with some realistic figures.
And you
So,
have to project out the rentals. You project out the year's worth of rentals to be
hmm
able to determine whether this is going to give you money or take it away from you. But I
hmm
don't mean to go into reverse, but if I had my stick shift and I'd be in neutral right now because I need to go to reverse. We have we were discussing financing, but I forgot to talk about it in detail because we have to do one of the things is as an entrepreneur, I'm a creative person. I do so many things. They said, Marianne, is there anything you can't do? Well, I haven't done brain surgery yet, but if they walk me through it, I'm willing to learn, because as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of manure. You end up scooping it out of the way, but you only do that by creating a gold shovel of resilience because you're in it to win it. And you may start off innocent, but after a few times around the block, you have to get up, you have to put your boxing gloves on and just say, okay, let's have it. So anyway, there are creative ways in a high interest market to for financing, but let me just recap and then we can talk about it one by one. There's also FHA financing, 3.5% down payment programs. There's seller financing. There's partnerships, and then assumable loans. Do you want to tick those off one by one so we don't get ticked off? The listener doesn't get ticked off. We're giving you the information. Okay.
Sure. Let's start with the easiest, the best way for a first-time investor, and that would simply be to start with conventional financing.
Yeah.
And duplexes are an acceptable up to a duplex can be financed under small down payment programs,
Mm-hmm.
5 to 3%. But again, it goes back to what we just touched on, Marianne, is that does that 3 to 5% down payment give you a mortgage payment low enough so that you're making cash every month? Or is a larger down payment to bring the loan to value down and thus a smaller loan amount
Yeah.
going to assist you sustaining your ownership in
Okay.
what we call the black, making money or being profitable month over month. So it might sound great to say, oh wow, we can only have to put 3.5% down. But what does that mean? Like, where is that payment
That's
in the
great. It
scheme
sounds
of,
great. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really how you engineer your acquisition is where do the amounts need to be in order to put that investor in black, making money.
And for the person who wants to utilize that low down payment program, I mean, one of the principles of investing in real estate is buying on leverage. So you put as little money of your own money in the game and then you leverage it with somebody else's financing
Hmm?
like this. But the key is you have to be able to afford that mortgage payment every month. You just can't do it if you can't afford it.
We want you to be successful as an investor,
Yeah.
right? We're
Mhm.
not going to place someone who can come in and check the box on a 3.5 down payment, but yet when we uh, press the press for final calculations and see if
Uh-huh.
this operating statement works for the property, and you're $500 in the red each month, you're not gonna be happy. You're not gonna sustain your ownership.
You're gonna stress out, and we're
Yeah,
already under enough stress as it is.
yeah.
External forces are stressing us. You don't need to add a bad real estate investment into that stress
There you go.
scenario. The other thing too is seller financing.
Hmm.
It's actually a good way for sellers to unload their property and
Hmm.
make a monthly income towards possibly their retirement, additional income towards their retirement by financing this property. What do you think
Hmm.
about that? I mean, do you think that's a good scenario for sellers to
It can
consider?
be. I think seller financing is it went out of vogue for
Is
some
it?
years, and now it's coming back
Oh, okay.
because the instrument itself is becoming more utilized, right? It's for someone to fashion a promissory note and come to terms with a counterparty. Um, a lot of investors or sellers rather aren't willing to do that. But I think it's a great option if in fact the sellers can pull it and offer that to the buy side, especially if they need to
Typically,
get out of it.
yeah, and is it typically do they provide lower interest rate? Because I was thinking seller financing usually comes around in a time when the interest rates are very high, or
Hmm.
because they're not talking about it much, but there's a lot of people that are going to be in short sale losing their homes. So,
Again,
uh,
it since it I'm sorry, I stepped on you there. You were going to say
oh,
something
that's okay.
very interesting, but if I was a seller and I wanted to sell my property, I would make it attractive for the buyers to assume it,
Yeah.
right? You wouldn't want to make it prohibitive. You'd want to say, hey, here's a benefit of this property because we can align this with where you need to be in terms of making it sustainable.
So, caveat emptor is seller, do not be greedy or you'll be needy and you'll lose your investor very speedy.
Yes, well, the other part of buying assets of this type, especially in real estate, we engage what's called a pro forma. And the
Okay.
pro forma is not necessarily actual amounts, revenues, costs, but a ideal one. And pro forma is used a lot in the industry to project what incomes or operating costs where an asset might land.
Uh-huh.
So beware of pro formas as well. That's what is really a good having a professional who knows the area
Hmm.
about what's happening in an area where you're buying an investment where rental income is the fulcrum of your livelihood or whether you're going to sustain ownership or not. Plus or minus $200 or $300 on a multi-reso property is material.
Well,
So
performa, the key word you use is idealistic. It's the idealistic performance of that property. It may not be the real deal, you know. I think that's really good advice. You always need to
yeah.
be, anytime somebody presents something to you. So the other thing that's really out of vogue is assumable loans. I think the only assumable loan is it the veterans loan is the only thing that's assumable nowadays?
Yeah, in the res space,
Uh-huh.
the VA
Yeah.
loan remains assumable, and that's great.
Especially
It
if it's a 2 to 4 unit, and then you can assume whatever balance and it's on that loan and to bring in the rest, right? And that's how
yeah.
can you kind of lay out how an assumable loan works for somebody who might be pique their interest with that
Well,
type.
it's a simple process. You engage the lender who's holding the note or the servicer deliberately, and you have to qualify. So there's still a qualification process. But the terms of that loan, for example, if the current owners were lucky enough to refinance when we had a really low rate environment some years back,
Mhm.
and they've got a 3% or 2.5% note rate there, it provides a lot of motivation to want to keep those terms, to keep that
Yeah,
cost of
definitely.
service,
Yeah.
right? So if assumability is being offered either through the VA or there are non-agency loans in the 5+ realm that can also be assumed, but the process is generally the same. You still have to qualify, but you're qualifying at current metrics, excuse me, of the metrics of the current mortgage rather. So um, there's a lot of benefits there.
Yeah, if you can find them. And that's what a lot of people do. They scour for these.
Hmm.
It takes a person, um, I think it takes a good personality and that people trust. Okay, I'm sorry. They tell me I have a good personality. They tell me they can trust me. They tell me I'm so sweet, but I'm not just sweet, I'm smart. Okay, and that's the most important thing. You'll get my hug, but then you can hug your property after we finish getting you
Hmm.
in, you know? So I was saying I consider myself not a transactor, but a transformer more than meets the eye. So, and Todd, oh my gosh, he's a transactor as well. He does really come to the come to the table and he will get it done. Todd really, all honesty, he's a really good guy. He's an expert in his field, very knowledgeable and very trustworthy and very ethical. And if you're an investor, hey, give Todd a call. Todd, how do they contact you?
Oh, well, the best way is just give me a call, right?
Okay.
415-887-9900 is my direct line. So if anybody wants to talk about financing or that they've got something on their mind that they came across or they're entertaining moving forward on something, it's a great first call to make because
Yeah.
we could talk the nuts and bolts, especially if it needs to be financed.
Yeah. And when you woke up this morning, Todd was on your mind. And what's the phone number again? 415?
887-9900.
415-887-9900.
Yes.
So I think we're winding down our wonderful exchange here. And are there any words of wisdom you want to pass on to the wannabe, but not derogatorily? You're gonna be if you do your due diligence and meet with the right people, like Todd for the loan and Marianne for the own.
I would, you and I being professionals and um, having sustained relationship with our clients that we've serviced over the years, it's easy for us to pick out the what to avoid, the traps,
Yeah, the pitfalls.
what not to do. And for to close this up, to bookend this, I think we should just touch on like the ideal situation. The
Okay.
ideal situation for me is a borrower that comes in who's been an investor comes in who's wanted to take that step forward, been thinking about it for some time, has talked to some people, and they say one thing that I think really will get my attention and know that they're genuinely interested in making the step, and that is they have specific area that they want to look in. They've already done enough homework to say, hey, it looks like if I acquired here, that my best chance is here as a first-time
Yes.
investor. That gets my attention because that means the person
You're
is
serious.
taking
Yes.
steps.
Yes.
So,
I agree because I've had people contact me. Oh my gosh, online is really kind of hard. There's no loyalty in online. Oh, I want this house. Oh, I want this many bedrooms. Oh, I want a pool. And oh, I want it's got to be 2 million. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
but where? It's almost like you're doing all the homework and then they turn on, oh, by the way, are you investing in Bitcoin?
You're right. Yeah.
Is our time is precious. Our expertise is earned. We've earned the burn of this industry, and we're still here for you. And sincerity is the absence of deceit, hypocrisy, and pretense, and that's the name of my real estate brokerage, Sincerity Realty, but also the name of this podcast, Sincerity Realty, because we need trustworthy people and trustworthy information. And you can trust Todd. And I'm the filter, right? I say I'm the BS filter, not the bad word BS, not B for I'm not a deli. I'll never give you B for bologna or S for salami. I want you to bite into a real deli sandwich with nourishing ingredients so that you will be well fed with the truth and be able to make a good decision. So um, I guess that's all. That's all, folks. But do call upon us. And again, it's Todd Snyder with Angel Island Enterprises. And
Mm-hmm.
phone number again.
415-887-9900, direct line.
Boy, that was really nice. Okay. And Mary Ann Cadorna, 628-888-9078. You can find me on sincerityrealty.com. Sincerity Podcast. Uh, find us on Patreon, Substack, YouTube. This will be on YouTube first. And also LinkedIn and Facebook. And also give us a call because we stand tall with integrity. Thank you, Todd. Really
Excellent.
appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
great talk today.
Yes, and do call upon us. We're here for you.